Hello everybody, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Floyd Keys Deluxe V.2, the greatest Pink Floyd sound pack in the world. These are the sounds for animals. Pigs on the Wing is a song that only has acoustic guitar sounds, so we're gonna get started with dogs. The first chord we have is a D minor 7/9 on the guitar, and then we fade in the farfisas. Now these farfisa sounds are very dry in the record, and they were very dry for V1, but I thought, what if I add some Leslie sound to it? So you can see here that I have left and right, and left fades in, right fades out, but I also created a split using Analog Lab because I wanted that Leslie sound. So if I open here, you can see that I have Farfisa 1, Farfisa 2, and then rotary speaker. And it's very light, it's 15%. If I crank this up, let me just show you the sound of the Leslie. Maybe it would be interesting, but I am looking for maximum possible fidelity. So I'm just gonna leave it dry, not totally dry, but 15% dry here, because I do want some moisture in the sound, which I believe the rotary speaker provides. The dry would be like this, with 15% Leslie. It's a tiny difference, but it makes a lot of difference once you have big speakers, big stage, you know. So beginning with the farfisas, and then later we have the Hammond organ here on the bottom. So this is Arturia V V.2. And this is Dog's Hammond Bright. We also have a dark version, which is a little bit more dark, obviously. And this is what it sounds like. I love this Hammond sound. So you play the intro with the farfisas, you play the first few cycles of the chord progression here. D minor 7/9, B flat, A sus. This is at least to me, from what I can tell, this is a B flat with the bass on the 7th. Back to the D minor 7/9. So the next sound that we're gonna have is the Moog, which is here for the melody, but it's in the next patch. Now, fortunately, using main stage, you can just hold down a chord, go to the next patch, and the sound won't be cut out. And most people play the melodies with their right hand, but you're probably gonna be using your right hand to play the chords here. So this can create a problem, which is a little gap between this chord and the B flats if you try to do something like this. Right? You shouldn't have this gap. So you can use your sustain pedal. Some people would call this cheating because back in the day, real Hammond organs didn't have sustain pedals, right? You couldn't just do this on real Hammonds. Now we can, so that's what I recommend that you do. But there's also something else that might help. If you don't want to play this here and use your left hand on top, and you don't want to do this switching of the hands, and you don't want to use your sustain pedal, you can hold down the chord, go octave up twice, right? But anyway, I would always use the sustain pedal for this one. This is a great Moog sound. It has a gorgeous delay. It sounds absolutely huge. I am currently playing Dogs and rehearsing with my band, and this sound is just perfect. Try this out with your band, you're gonna love it. So yeah, Hammond and Moog. Moving on, we have the Fender Rhodes, which isn't Fender anymore, it's just Rhodes, right? Whoop, what was that? Okay, so let me take a moment, just because we got that little glitch over there. On the previous video, somebody asked about what my setup was, what my Mac was, because they said, oh, I have a Mac with 32 gigs of RAM, and with only one plugin, I am already overloading my CPU. So if I go here up top and go about this Mac, you can see exactly what MacBook I have. 2016 MacBook Pro. My processor is a 2.7 gigahertz quad-core Intel Core i7. Okay, so it's an i7 processor with 16 gigs of RAM. Those are the numbers that you need to know. So this is a relatively outdated MacBook. I bought it in 2017. It was a spaceship back then. I wanted it to last from 5 to 7 years, and that's what it's lasting. But I very much need to upgrade my MacBook soon. So what I'm doing right now is I have 2 MIDI controllers. I'm using a Focusrite Scarlett's audio interface. I'm running MainStage with God knows how many plugins I have open here. I'm not using any aliases, so each sound that you hear is their own separate channel strip with their own separate plugin open. And if I go into the preferences here, you can see that I have, going into advanced settings, 1024 samples of buffer size and 1024 samples of latency. So resulting latency 82.5 milliseconds. This is horrendous, absolutely horrendous if you want to play live, because it's simply too much latency. I don't know if you can notice this, but you can probably tell just by looking, but if you're a keyboardist and you're used to latency, you know how annoying it can be. You play it and the sounds have a little lag. I have to do this for the sake of my CPU while I'm recording, because I am using OBS to record my screen in 4K while I am running all of these high-end plugins by Arturia, right? So if you have 32 gigs of RAM, you should have everything running fairly smoothly, but you gotta take care, you gotta do concessions, and yeah, I'll talk more about computer specs and MainStage in a separate video, okay? So I just wanted to show you what my Mac is like. That's why the glitch happens, and why in the last video of Wish You Were Here we had a few blackouts on the screen. That was the system overload message popping up. But anyway, so Rhodes sound for Dogs. Very creamy Rhodes sound. And then we have the Farfisa here for the guitar solos, right? You're gonna play this. And then later we have the guitar solos. They're gonna play. While they play this, you're gonna play the Solina. This Solina is very bright, very high. If you feel like it's too high, you can just filter out some of the high frequencies using an EQ. But and you don't need to, but you can, if you want, you can accompany the Solina and the guitar solos by playing the Rhodes here. Right? So yeah, we have the Solina, we have the Rhodes, and here we have a sample. Now this is something that I just did a few moments before recording the video. I used this sample many years ago, back when I still played with a Floyd tribute band, and I made it myself using random dog sounds that I found on the internet. So this is what it looks like here in the quick sampler, but it's processed. Once again, I said, what if I use Pink Floyd's Joker card? What if I put the sample through a Leslie speaker? So I did it and it sounded a lot better. This is what it sounded. This is how it sounded like before. I just added a few, some reverb to make it more ambianced, let's say. But this is what it sounds like when it's dry, just the dog sounds. So you put it through a Leslie. Oh yeah, perfect. And then some reverb. Yeah, great. So Solina, Rhodes, and samples. Moving on, we have the synth solo. So there are two different patches for the synth solo here, because in the first one I have the Solina ensemble here in the bottom just to show the chords and what it sounds like. I love this sound. Don't do this mistake when you go to the A sus chord. Go with your left hand as well. So D minor 7/9, B flat with the bass on third, A sus. This is a stereo phaser from the Solina. Sounds wonderful. Let me just show you really quick. This is Solina V.2. I've been using this plugin for years. And then you can go into advanced and you just take a look here. You see, it takes long for things to load because I am processing too many things at the same time. This phaser here is the bomb, even though it's only 25% wet. Okay, so this is the Solina ensemble, and for the solo we need a Moog on top. Now there's a copy of this patch, because if you're gonna play this by yourself, if your band doesn't have two keyboardists, you need two hands to play the full harmony, and you would need a third hand to play the lead. So you have to make a concession. This is the same problem as Shine On Part 9, where if you want to play the harmony for yourself, you need to use only one hand. So I'm using chord memory here, and then I can just play the chords with one finger. Like I said in the Wish You Were Here video, it may not be the most aesthetically pleasing thing to be playing a full chord with one finger, but maybe you can sort of hide it. I don't know. If you're recording a DVD, don't do this, because some guys are gonna go like, oh, you're faking it, that's a gimmick, you're playing chords with one finger. Anyway, this is what I do today because it's the proper way for it to sound nice. The sound is more important than the looks. Okay. So I would like to thank Dill Pickles for this lead sound, because I only realized that we had different octaves being tweaked when I watched his video on YouTube. So Dill Pickles made a video playing this song, showcasing this Moog, and then once I saw it, I was like, oh, nice, very nice. And then I updated my Moog sound. Now here we have vibrato on Aftertouch, and we have an octave selector here on the mod wheel. Let me just bring the Moog sound down here so that we have the proper glide, and then the solo would go something like this. Can you see the aftertouch here? And on the mod wheel, we have 3 different octaves. So in the middle position, there are 2 oscillators. In the middle position, 1 oscillator is in the same octave as in the other one. So this would be 2 oscillators in the same octave. If I go up, it's 1 octave higher. And if I go down, it's 1 octave lower. So it's hard to get the dynamic right, but you gotta figure this out yourself, right? There's not too much that I can say about this. You gotta figure out when to do the vibrato, when to not do the vibrato, and when to change the octaves, when not to change, all while you're holding a chord with your left hand. So yeah, this is not optimal, but this is the way that I can play it today. I'm using my index finger and then my pinky to move the mod wheel here. Okay, so dog synth solo, the chords you already know, chord memory, Moog sound. The only difference between the actual record sound is that I did add some filter movement to this one. You can hear the filter opening. I feel like this increases the value of the leads, let's say. I like it very much. So that's the Moog sound. Now we have to move on. After the solo, we come back. So it says Dog's verse. But right after the solo, we get this. Let me just go back up. Then you slowly fade out the volume, and this is the hard part. If you're drunk playing this live, you're probably going to do something bad here, but you fade this out. You're holding the D minor 7/9 and this A here. And then you quickly have to go back to pad, go to the next patch, and play the Farfisa. Why can't I hear the Farfisa right now? Oh, the volume is down, of course. You see, exactly this is what I'm talking about. So you're on this patch here. Pay attention to how many clicks you have to do. You do this, chord memory. Last you're here. Gotta admit that I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so just lower the volume, let it go, pad, next patch, raise the volume back up, and then the Farfisas. This Farfisa is dry because I didn't update it as I updated the intro ones. But yeah, this is the Farfisas, and then later we have the Hammond, and that's all for dogs, right? The hardest part of playing these long Pink Floyd songs is paying attention to these transitions, to when you go to the next patch, when you come back to the other patch, in what octave you put which sound, if you lower the volume or you didn't lower the volume, if you change the octave or you didn't change the octave, right? You gotta be really, really focused so that you don't mess up, especially on Dogs. Dogs is the song that every time that I played, when I saw in the set list, oh, the next song is Dogs. So like, deep breath, focus, don't screw up. That's my biggest tip for playing Dogs, okay? Now moving on, we have Pigs. Is the sample here? Yes, it is. So the sample is extracted from the song, of course. It does need some work because I did it in Audacity a few years ago, and I was just hearing very tiny clicks, very tiny pops because is it looping? Oh no, it's not looping, but this additional pig sound does happen in the song. So it's exactly in the right timing, but it does need some work. I'll see what I can do regarding this sample. The sound, it has a delay, but the organ sound kicks in, so you can't use the original song. You have to just copy, paste it, and then lower the volume and do a fake delay, right? You just copy, paste, and lower the volume. Anyway, that's the sample for the intro of Pigs. And then here we have the Hammonds. So, here. Okay, now the split is here. These notes should be a lot closer together. So this B is actually here, but it's very bad to play it like this. Because the split is actually here, it's not right, but it would be bad to play it together, so I would rather separate it into a split and play with my hands a little bit open. Before I played it here, but what I did is, you can see here that I have Hammond, just Hammond on the left, but this is actually a split. What do you mean? So let me just show you. If I open the B3 version 2 here, we have the upper and lower keyboard. But inside, you can set up a split point and decide where the split point is and what octave each instance is at. So if I click this gear, you can see here that I have split points, upper, lower, and the octaves, +2, +3, you see? So if I play this, I'm playing my lower keyboard, and here, my upper keyboard. So this is what's going on. But anyway, and then here I have just the Hammond sound plus the Solina. Before I used to play it in the same region, but because we don't play this B flat, I set this B flats to be the on and off toggle switch of my Solina sound. So I used to play. You wouldn't hear this notes, but then I would just turn on the Solina sound. But it was a bad workaround, I guess. So today I would prefer doing this. If you prefer doing it like this, just make sure that you hit the right note when you come back down, all right? So that's the intro for Pigs. Down here I have a patch that I called Guitar Swells. This is a Moog sound, but if your band only has one guitarist, and you don't have a second guitarist to play the little swells, it's better that you do it as a keyboardist, so you can just go. Maybe you can try putting this Moog sound through a Leslie. Let me try it again. I won't spend too much time. Let me just do rotor cabinet here. Let's see the result that we have. I don't know why, but Leslie's make everything better. I'm just gonna leave it there. Not even gonna touch anything, not even gonna change anything. So intro of Pigs, Hammonds, guitar swells. Then we have the piano for the Now if you use 61 keys keyboards like me, when you do that glissando, you're gonna have to go octave up so that you get the right. Oh, that was horrible. I have this thing here, so you need this low octave here to do the ideally, right? Or you can just do this all the time. Anyway, you can figure it out. If you have an 88 keys keyboard, you shouldn't worry about that. So piano in the bottom and then Solina up top, because there's the talk box solo, and while the talk box solo is going on, you have E minor chords here, and then C, and then B. Again, super bright Solina. If you think it's too bright, you can just filter out some of the highs, okay? Now, moving on, we have a Hammond in the bottom here. It's similar to the Dog's Hammond, but it's a little different. And this is very, very low in the mix of Pigs, so the volume should probably be lower, but you have a few Hammond sounds for later on in the song. And then the the Solina on top again. I believe that those are all the sounds that you need for Pigs. So let's keep going. For version 1, I actually had an option, Moog Sounds, which was supposed to replace the talkbox solo, but yeah, I didn't make one for V2 because I don't think it's the best idea. I don't know. Then for Sheep, we have 5 different patches. First of all, we have the sample. This is extracted from the original song and looped. And the creamy, creamy Rhodes with the tremolo. It's very, very weird to play this with 80 milliseconds of latency. Very bad to play this with 80 milliseconds of latency, but that's what I have to do today, okay? It sounds great, but I'll warn you, this tremolo is also stereo, so it's sort of like a stereo pen because it lowers the volume on one side and increases in the other, so you hear this stereo tremolo. On the amp, this doesn't sound right, but on the headphones it sounds perfect. So ideally play this sound stereo, okay? So that you get the right vibe for the tremolo. If not, it doesn't sound very prominent, the tremolo. Or you can set an automation of volume. I don't know, you can figure out what to do here. So we have the Rhodes and then the Hammond here on top. This Hammond is very bright, but the song is very energetic. You definitely need these high frequencies, okay? Now this Moog here has two different versions. One is called LFOMG automatic, something like that, or just LFOMG, where you can just play the notes and the vibrato automatically fades in. And there's a different version of this one that you can control the vibrato with the mod wheel, okay? I would recommend having this one, the automatic one, because you need the mod wheel to trigger the spin of the Leslie, so you can do it at the same time. Okay, next up, here we have a Hammond splits of fade in and fade out, two different Moogs, and then what I called MGT. MGT stands for Moog Taurus. It's not a Taurus, it's a Moog, but a Taurus was a Moog, so yeah. Right, so in the left it fades in, here it fades out. Maybe you can make it a little bit wetter with some sort of chorus or flanger, maybe an additional Leslie. This pin is the B3 V2 Leslie. Maybe some additional reverb, but this is what it sounds as I set it, and this is the way that I like having this sound, okay? This is for the interludes, and then here we have the Moog. Similar to the Time Moog sound, right? Now before the Moogs come on, we have the cartoon sound of something falling from the sky, you know, that. So I created a sample called Analog Skyfall sound effects. I use the Moog to create it. It's currently too loud. I need to decrease the gain, but so far I just decreased the volume here because I didn't want to spend more time before recording this video, but this is what it sounds like. Don't do it like this, pull it all the way from back here. If you do it like this, it's sort of ugly. Not too much, but I don't know, depends on the moment. For this part, I believe it needs to go. Did you get that? So these are two separate Moogs. You can pan these differently if you want. They are currently centered. and these are playing in thirds. So this one is playing E, this one is playing G. So it's like Have a Cigar, you know, Have a Cigar is... But Have a Cigar doesn't have this delay, but we're playing... You get the idea. Let me just try panning this one to the left a little bit and this one to the right. Sounds great as well. They sound cleaner. Whenever you have two Moog sounds that are playing in interval and you pan them, they sound cleaner because they are separated. But sometimes it's favorable for us to have some overlap between the two, not pan them too much so that we have a mix of the two sounds in the center. So yeah, Moogs, Hammond, and Taurus here. And then we have just Hammond, and then we have another interlude, or the first one wasn't an interlude, I don't know. I call this one Sheep Interlude Prayer. Now here we have a lot of tracks, and this is because when we're getting here, the first thing that we're gonna play when we switch to this patch is this. Now we're coming back from the my beatbox drum fill was horrendous, but anyway, this is a Solina sound, very bright. And here I have two Moogs. So you can see on my main stage here that I have three sounds here, one sound here, but this is actually two sounds, and then one sound here. The Solina, here we have Moog L and R. This stands for left and right because these are actually two different sounds. I think I have to pan them more, so let me just open Analog Lab here really quick. There's obviously the square wave, but there's also one sound which is an octave higher, and they are a little bit panned if you pay attention to the mix. The left part isn't super panned. Let me just show you one of them. This is just a square wave, and then we have this one which is one octave higher. Both together. All right, now this is one of the sounds. It's a stack of two Moogs. It needs to be two Moogs if you want two Moog sounds that are panned differently. This other channel strip is the same in the sense that we have two different Moog sounds and they are panned, but they are different Moog sounds. And I have programmed the glide down because this was probably a Moog sound that was here. It had a lot of glide, but it's not in legato mode. So if the last note you played on a Moog was this one, and then you played this, you won't get the immediate sound. You'll get the sound, once you play, you'll get the sound gliding all the way down to here, right? So just to be reliable, I programmed the sound that every time that you play here, you get the glide down. I used an envelope function, and this is what it looks like. So if I go into edit preset, you can see the pannings here, and this is what they sound like. This is just the G here, or the A, sorry. It's panned left, and this is the D, which is panned right. Together with the Solina, we have this Solina has a long fade because it needs to very smoothly fade out. This was probably overdubbed. All of these sounds were overdubbed. And then the Solina sound was just lowered somehow. But yeah, we have a Solina, 2 Moogs here, 2 Moogs here. So 4 Moogs and a Solina in one keyboard. And in the bottom we have the organ. This is another part where you have to pay attention and count because the bass is just going to be doing. So if you don't pay attention, you're going to play this wrong and you're going to go out of sync with your bass player. So watch him, keep your eyes on him, and then make sure that you do the together. Additionally, we have the prayer sample, and this is actually recorded by me. I recorded this in 2016 on my Roland Juno DS. My first keyboard was a Roland Juno DS, and I was astounded with the sound of vocoders. And then I figured that this prayer sound is going through a vocoder, so I recorded it using my Juno. It's not perfect, but it's almost perfect. And then to make it even more almost perfect, if that's a thing, I added the Joker card one more time. I added a Leslie. So this is what it sounds like raw. This is my raw recording from 2016. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me down to lie. Through pastures green, he leadeth me to silent waters by. If I'm not mistaken, I recorded this using my phone. So I had, I believe it was this amp. I believe it was my Roland KC350, Juno DS, microphone, vocoder, and then I just put my phone in front of the amp and recorded this. But then you add a Leslie and it makes all the difference in the world. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me down to lie. Through pastures green, he leadeth me to silent waters. So yeah, there's the exact timing for you to play this, but this isn't a tutorial of sheep. This is just a showcase of the sounds. Okay, you see that we have 2 Moogs, Solina, organ, and sample. All right. Now last sound is just the Hammond here and the same LFO Moog here. And that's it. Pigs on the Wing 2 is only acoustic guitar, so there are no sounds. I believe I have covered everything in animals. Many sounds for dogs, many sounds for sheep, a few sounds for pigs. It really isn't a keyboard-centered song. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. All of the samples that you are listening to, you can download for free using the link that is in the description below. See ya.